Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Miller, and Chris Clark along with you here on this Friday. Reminder, once again, have a special Gamecocks baseball opening day halftime show coming up from Village Idiot live today from noon until 3:45. Myself, Terry Ford, Jay Phillips will be out there as well, leading right into pregame coverage of the baseball team taking on Miami of Ohio. First pitch at 4 o'clock, pregame coverage again starting at 3:45. Continuing our conversation about Sean Elliott being hired as the new tight ends coach and run game coordinator for the Gamecocks, making his return for the first time since 2016. Welcome in one of his former players on the Love Chevrolet phone lines, Corey Helms. Corey, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Looking at the reaction yesterday to the Sean Elliott news, saw a lot of players weighing on this, players past and present that have gotten the opportunity to work with him that are very, very excited for him to be back here at South Carolina. Seems very much like a personable players type of coach. What can you say about him from your experience with him?
Yeah, he's definitely a player's coach. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. But, yeah, player's coach is a great way to describe him. I mean, still to this day, I keep in touch with him all the time, and that's rare in the coaching world to keep in touch with your players like that. But, yeah, he genuinely cares about his guys. You're not going to find anybody with more passion than him, you know, and truly, he loves Columbia, South Carolina. He loves the University of South Carolina and loves his guys. And, I mean, that was a home run hire, in my opinion.
Hey, Corey, it's Wes. Appreciate you doing this, man. Great to hear from you. So I think we all have this memory of Coach Elliott and his sort of pregame mosh pits, I guess you could call it. Did Coach ever catch you pretty good? What do you remember about just his energy and just the kind of the pregame moments you would have with Coach Elliott back in the day?
Yeah, he actually got me on the first time. So when I first got there, I knew about it. I'd seen it and guys talked about it and stuff, but I wasn't eligible that first year with having to sit out transferring. And so I figured I was in the clear, you know, so I jog over after warm-ups. I'm not dressed out. And he got me immediately. I was like, oh, okay, everybody's game. I like it. And so I kept my head on a swivel for the next couple of years after that.
Corey, Chris Clark here. Thanks for joining us, man. So I wanted to ask you kind of a coaching question since you're in that world as well now, too. You know, Elliott is obviously more of an O-line guy, right? He's been a head coach. He's been an O-line coach. Actually started his first on-field job was as a tight ends coach. So can you speak a little bit to, you know, how his skill set as an O-line coach can translate over to the tight end room? Maybe what some of the differences might be between coaching those two positions and how his background may help him be really effective there.
I mean, in terms of blocking, you know, it's all the same stuff, you know, same techniques and stuff like that. You know, with having tight ends, you know, you're obviously going to be, you know, around the pass game some and all that. But Coach Elliott's he's a football guy. He's a great X's and O's dude. And, you know, but I think O-line and tight ends are super similar. People don't really realize that much, but very similar in terms of schematics and techniques and stuff like that. And like I said, he's been around football for a while and heck of an offensive mind. So he's going to be able to take that completely over.
Again, talking to Corey Helms, former South Carolina offensive lineman that got a chance to work with Sean Elliott when he was here the last time, kind of off that question that Chris just asked, given that you do have, you know, your own perspective as a coach yourself. You know, he was at Georgia State for 7 years, has obviously coached a variety of different positions across the offense, and being the tight ends coach and the running games coordinator, he's obviously going to be in the tight end room. He's going to work with the running backs. He's also going to have to work with the offensive line as well. So what's it going to be like having a former head coach have his fingerprints all over different assets of the offense, not just one specific area?
I think it's huge. I mean, he's got a different view on a lot of things, just with having head coaching experience. And, you know, even with my little experience I have right now, just going from, you know, position coach to whether it be calling plays or being the head coach, like you learn something new every day. So, you know, he's going to have a different view on a lot of different things, and I'm sure Coach Beamer will be able to use him as a big asset. And then in terms of, you know, the offensive side, like I said, I mean, he's a really, really smart football coach. So, he's going to be a huge help, whether it be in the run game or with techniques or, schematics, anything. He's a huge asset.
Talking to Corey Helms here, former Gamecock offensive lineman, currently Cardinal Newman head football coach. Corey, I know we're kind of just speculating a little bit on this, but as far as the scheme, you talked about it a little bit. Obviously, you kind of look at what Coach Elliott did at Georgia State. You look at the two guys that I think are kind of in the front running for the quarterback job. Of course, Lenora Sellers, Robbie Ashford, two guys that can run the football. And we know it's Dow Loggins' offense, but based on what you saw in South Carolina's offense last year and what you know about kind of Coach Elliott's approach, what do you think he'll kind of bring to this running game as far as the schematics? I would think he's going to have some insights that Coach Loggins can kind of lean on as they build this offense around Lenora Sellers' skill set.
Yeah, I would think so too. With him going to Georgia State, I definitely kept track of them and watched a lot of their games, and I've got a couple of former players that played for him, so I was definitely engaged in it. A lot of the stuff that he does is similar to that. And, he's a big time. He loves running the football, and he's really good at it. And then having a dual threat quarterback, I believe his quarterback at Georgia State was a dual threat guy, and I'm sure he'll be able to help a lot in that aspect. And I think Coach Loggins has had a lot of I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty sure Coach Loggins has had a lot of experience in that realm as well.
Corey, you mentioned Coach Elliott's mind for the game, but that's obviously one part of it is the knowledge of the scheme and being able to draw it up on the board, but also having to be able to effectively communicate it with your players. We know he's a sharp football coach. We know he's an intense guy, obviously, but what can you say about Sean Elliott as an actual teacher on the field and how he takes the information that he has in his mind and how he's able to translate that to his guys in his room?
He does a really good job of simplifying things for his guys. He's able to take, the schematic stuff and, it might be a complex scheme, but he's able to simplify it for his room. And he also does a really good job of communicating with his players on kind of what clicks in their brain, how they think of things. And, so because obviously the players are the ones playing. So you got to be able to figure out what clicks in their brain. And he does a really good job of communicating that with his players.
One more thing here before we let you go, Corey, talking about his intensity and, you're not all that far removed from college getting to, be under him when he was here at South Carolina the first time. But given your perspective of being able to coach high school students where you're at now, how does that intense coaching style resonate with today's group of athletes? Is that something that has changed drastically in these past couple of years, you would say?
I don't think so. I mean, I know our guys here at Cardinal Newman love it. You got to be yourself, and that's just who he is. And what we loved about him is he's always himself. And it's one thing if that's just who you are, or it's another thing if you're doing that just to kind of put up a front. And that's just who he is. Like, he's always himself, and I have a feeling he'll always be himself, and that's what makes him special.
Absolutely. Well, Corey, we appreciate you a little bit of your time this morning and excited to see what Coach Elliott's going to be able to add to this team coming up this fall.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, me too. Big time. Go Gamecocks.
Absolutely. Again, Corey Helms, former offensive lineman for the Gamecocks, who got the chance to experience Sean Elliott's coaching the first time around. We got to see him. I know that for that first season he wasn't able to play because of when they actually had transfer rules back then. But got to see him in both the interim head coach role and then as the offensive line coach the next season when Will Muschamp, came in as the head coach.
Yeah, good insight there from Corey. Appreciate him joining us. And I think if you polled pretty much all of Coach Elliott's former offensive linemen, they would probably have kind of similar stories just about what he brought to that room, what he means to them, and, sort of a situation there where if Corey sort of just, I thought, put it into words there, what Elliott's personality kind of is, and that is that you're going to get who he is pretty much every moment you're around him. And I do think that resonates with guys. And, yeah, he's hard on his players, but also there's a little bit of just kind of locker room, like he's going to push his guys, but he's going to trying to say how I can say this on the radio. I don't think I can say that word, but he's going to be busting their chops basically in in a good way.
Yeah, for sure. Did y'all see the clip going around from when he took over for interim job? His first game, I think, was against Vandy. That was fantastic. My man was fired up. I remember him coming out of the tunnel. He looked like a pro wrestler coming out of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Like he psyched himself up. It was awesome.
And there are coaches that can try and put on that persona, but that's unique to who he is. That's not a front. That's not something that's manufactured. Like, he is literally that guy. And again, that may rub people the wrong way, but hey, if you're going to play for him, this is what you got to deal with. And again, he's been successful in what he's been able to do.
Well, and the guys, I mean, they know he's intense, but like you said, Wes, I mean, everybody, like, he's universally liked by his players. You know, everybody was super positive about this move, whether it's fans. We heard from a lot of former players think highly of him. So, yeah, intense coach, intense guy. But he I think, has a lot of respect from his guys, and a lot of high school coaches around the state, too, who know Sean Elliott were excited about this move.
Absolutely. We'll come back and wrap up today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs on this opening day Friday here on The Game. Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, and Chris Clark along with you for a few more minutes here. Obviously getting you set for Gamecock baseball as they take on Miami of Ohio coming up today. First pitch at 4 o'clock, pregame coverage starting at 3:45 here on the game. Sunday, wrapping up the series, first pitch at 1:30 out there at Founders Park. Actually have a pair of tickets to give away right now. Caller number 6, 803-404-6100. Again, caller number 6, 803-404-6100. Win that pair of tickets to the series finale, against Miami of Ohio coming up on Sunday out there at Founders Park. Real quick before we wrap up here, as always, want to thank our friends over at Goldline Framing, being such great support of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Yeah, shout out Goldline Framing. I promise you, Kendall Walsh, Johnny James, they are getting fired up for some South Carolina baseball. And I'm sure in store they got some South Carolina baseball stuff you can get. And if you've got South Carolina baseball photos or even posters that you want to take to the next level, they can take that. They can frame it up for you. In fact, they can handle any and all of your custom framing needs. That could be diplomas, original artwork, canvases. Maybe you got a jersey or a Gamecock flag. They can handle that as well. Goldline Framing has been in business for over 20 years. They're over at 511 12th Street, West Columbia. In store, you got an art gallery, home decor, furniture, and gift items. If you got questions, call them today. 803-739-1337. It is Friday, which means they're open 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. That's every Tuesday to Friday. Then if you're coming into town for the games tomorrow, they're also open on Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, Goldline Framing, West Columbia. Call them if you got questions, 803-739-1337.
As we close out here, and we did talk to Stuart Lake on Wednesday, I believe that was, who will be in the booth calling games this season, obviously filling that void that Tommy left behind. It is going to be, different and obviously very emotional today. They're going to be paying tribute to Tommy before the game of, going forward with Gamecock baseball without the voice that's been carrying it for, the past 25 years.
Yeah, and I'll be in the car during the game today, which means, it'll be Gamecock baseball on the radio, and just absolutely not going to be the same without hearing the voice of Tommy Moody. I miss seeing him right out there and him having some anecdote to share with me pretty much every single time I walk by him, whether it's about Furman football or South Carolina baseball or sometimes NC State. You never knew what you were going to get, man. So certainly I was thinking about that yesterday with all the excitement for opening day, and it's not the same without him, not out there, and it's not going to be the same listening to Gamecock baseball radio. And certainly, I think the tributes that hopefully people are able to get to the park early today, this afternoon, and are able to take part in that tribute, because I know that it will mean a lot to his family.
Yeah, I wish I could be there. Yeah, I was just thinking about that too, walking in. Like, Tommy would have definitely been like...
You've been over the moon today.
And I was reading his daughter, Casey. Casey, if you're listening, hope you're doing well. She talked to Gamecock Central and mentioned that, like, aside from Christmas Day, baseball opening day,
sure,
and that was like a second Christmas to Tommy. I mean, it's his favorite day. And we were talking about the weather earlier. Tommy would have 100% if we came in and been like, it's a great day for baseball, isn't it, guys? Hey, Wes. Hey, Tyler. Hey, Chris. So, yeah, I miss him greatly. And, I mean, there was one of the simple pleasures in life that was so awesome was, a day kind of like today, or maybe, just a nice spring sunny day, and you're just out on the porch listening to Gamecock baseball with some sweet tea or whatever your choice is. Listen to Tommy, man, it didn't get much better than that.
Well, and look, there are plenty of great broadcasters out there across all levels of sports, and we have plenty within the Gamecock Radio Network. But when you have ones like Tommy Moody that are just so ingrained, literally was a Gamecock himself, grew up rooting for this team, became a part of this team, and has just ate, sleep, and breathed Gamecock baseball and all of Gamecock sports for his entire life, to hear that passion come out in every single call, whether it's calling a grand slam or grand salami, as he liked to call it, or whatever it may be, a national championship. He got to witness a couple of those in his time, a little over a decade ago. Like, you just heard that passion in every single thing that he did with Gamecock baseball, and that's something that's definitely going to be missed.
No doubt. It just simply, the only way you can say it is it just will not be the same. And, I thought Stuart Lake said it perfectly. He knows you can't replace a Tommy Moody. He's not trying to replace a Tommy Moody, but I think the level of respect that Stuart Lake has for stepping into that seat, you can just tell how much it means to him and that he understands the gravity of that. And, certainly wish him a great call as well, because I know that's what Tommy would have wanted. Literally, I've said it before, Tommy, probably the nicest guy I've ever met in my entire life. And hopefully we'll all just take a moment to remember Tommy when we do listen to the broadcast today.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, get out there early as you can if you're making your way to Founders Park today. Going to have some cool tributes. Going to have his family throwing out the first pitch and all that kind of stuff. And it's not just today. It's going to be throughout the season and for years to come. Tommy Moody will always be a big part of Gamecock baseball, as it was, again, such a big part of his life. So very excited to see what those tributes are and see what Stuart Lake's going to be able to bring to the commentary booth going forward, again, filling that void. But that'll do it for today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Going to be a long weekend. It is going to be President's Day coming up on Monday. Wes and Chris will be back in here on Tuesday. I'll rejoin them coming up on Wednesday, and we'll recap everything that went on with Gamecock baseball as well as basketball, too, as it's a very busy weekend for Gamecock sports. Enjoy opening day. Enjoy the weekend. Coming up next, it is the halftime show. Myself and Terry Ford be out at Village Idiot Pizza on Whaley Street going until 3:45, leading right up into pregame coverage of Gamecock baseball, all right here on The Game.
A lot of talk nowadays about making your home more energy efficient, but what about transforming your home into a smart home? What is that, you may be wondering? That's where you can control your lights, your devices, your thermostat, everything electronic in your home from the touch of a button from your smart home. The team at Integrated Media, Michael and Nathan, shout out to our guy Michael. He was in here yesterday helping make sure the Game TV was fully situated for us. If you want to transfer your home into a smart home, hit them up, integratedmediainc.com or 803-948-8327. They can also upgrade your home theater system, your entertainment room. They can do something as simple as mounting a TV, hiding all the wires to, again, the complete smart home system. integratedmediainc.com or 803-948-8327. Get some examples of their work on Instagram or Facebook, Integrated Media Columbia. Give them a call today, 803-948-8327.